Chapter 36. A baby, I said, but we took precautions. The pill's only 98% reliable. I didn't believe it. She said so. See for yourself. The thin blue line was unwavering. So was I. I didn't want a baby. There are options, of course, but I was made to feel like a monster for even suggesting it. How could you? It's a collection of cells. It's a baby, our baby. Our parents were delighted. They met each other over an afternoon tea and discovered they'd gotten famously. It was time we settled down. They'd been respectively worried about our wild ways, suspicious of our London lifestyles. How wonderful we'd found each other. What a miracle this baby was. It had been taken out of my hands. My shotgun wedding, a new house, much more family friendly than that fearful flat, a new job, so much less cutthroat than the city. I moved to the fucking sea. The air so much cleaner. I never felt so trapped in my life, yet it was impossible not to love Anna. When she arrived, she was bright and beautiful and filled with curiosity, but it was impossible too not to resent her. There was a whole life out there waiting for me. Instead of running at it with both hands, I was standing still with a baby in my arms. I fantasized about leaving, told myself an absent parent was better than one who didn't want to be there. But I didn't leave. I didn't what I'd always done when life was hard. I drank. Chapter 37, Murray. Boxing Day was always an anticlimax. When Murray had been in uniform, Boxing Day had meant one domestic after another, as hangovers were assuaged with more booze. Family tensions exploded after 24 hours reigned in for Christmas. For someone like Sarah, who felt everything so keenly, the come down was even worse. It was midday before she appeared downstairs, and then only to take the tea. Murray made her and retreat back to bed. Murray tidied the kitchen, made herself some lunch, and wondered what to do. He didn't want to leave Sarah alone when she was like this, but the house was beginning to close in on him. He got out the Johnson file and spread it on the kitchen table. Tom Johnson had made several Google searches relating to suicide, Peachyhead, and Tired Times. All had been made between midnight, 17th of May, and 9 the following morning, perfectly plausible for a man contemplating suicide, which was presumably what the investigating officers had decided. But in the context of the picture Murray had now built up, the searchers were too careful, too convenient. They had clearly been made by whoever had murdered the Johnsons and engineered the fake suicides. Who would have had access to Tom's phone? It was an impossible question without knowing where the man had been the morning prior to the death. CID had made attempts to retrace his steps, but once the Audi had been picked up on the ANPR camera sitting near Beachyhead, nothing more had been done. There had been no need. Where had Tom been overnight? Who had he been with that morning? Murray covered 3 pages of his notebook with possible lines of inquiry, frustrated by the holiday period, which meant no one was at work for him to speak to. It was early evening when Murray put a hand on the mound of tangled duvet and suggested that Sarah might feel better if she had a shower and got dressed. The air in the bedroom was stale, and the cup of tea he'd pressed into Sarah's hand had gone untouched, a shiny film across the surface. I just want to go back to Highfield. You'll see Mr. Chowdhury on Friday. Sarah was crying, burrowing herself beneath the duvet, so her words were muffled. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be at Highfield. Shall I bring the duvet downstairs? Can we veg out on the sofa and watch black and white movies? Go away. Had Sarah been visible, Murray would have hidden the hurt on his face beneath the smile of supportive husband. And indeed he put a hand where he imagined Sarah's shoulder was and began to form the words he needed, the words she needed. Only he suddenly felt overwhelmingly, bone-crushingly tired. None of it made a difference. Whatever he said, whatever he did, it wouldn't help Sarah. Nothing could help Sarah. He stood up and left the room, closing the bedroom door behind him. He stood on the landing and looked across the street, where houses were adorned with Christmas lights, and inside families were playing board games and arguing over the remote. Snap out of it, Mackenzie, he muttered. Downstairs he put 2 slices of cheese and toast, and under the grill he would ring Anna Johnson. To hell with public holidays. The woman was mourning her parents. She had had a brick through her window. These were hardly normal times. She had been desperate for him to reopen the investigation, and mindful of his bollocking from Leo Griffith, Murray knew CID would soon be taking the lead. It was time to tell Anna Johnson what he knew. He turned the grill low and picked up the phone. Hello? Hello, it's Murray McKenzie from the police, he added, when Anna didn't speak. Right, actually, it's not a great time. I'm sorry to disturb you on Boxing Day. I just want to tell you that think you're right. There's more to your parents' death than meets the eye. It came out in a rush, as much for Murray's own benefit as Anna. A little of the tightness eased from his chest. He imagined Anna's hand at her throat, perhaps even tears of relief that finally someone had listened to her. He waited. There was a tiny sound on the other side of the line, and then silence, and Murray rang back. I think the line dropped out. I thought we might meet tomorrow, perhaps, if you're free. I can fill you in on what I found out and what we can discuss. No. It was Murray's turn to fall silent. He wasn't even sure if this sudden loud command had been directed at him or at someone in Anna's house, her partner, a dog, the baby. I've changed my mind. There was a tremor in Anna's voice, but she pressed on, getting louder, as though she was having no to force the words out. I need to move on, accept what's happened, accept the verdicts. That's what I'm saying, Diana. I think you're right. I think your parents were murdered. And I made a loud frustration. You're not listening to me. Look, I'm sorry I wasted your time, but I don't want this. I don't want you digging up the past. I don't want you doing anything. The timbre of her voice changed, and Mary realized she was crying. Please, just drop it. This time the click at the end line was louder, and Anna Johnson had hung up. The tightness in Murray's chest returned, and he swallowed the ridiculous urge to cry. He stood without moving, the phone in his hand, and it was only when the smoke alarm pierced through the still air that he realized his supper was burning.